Hola, mi gente, and welcome to a new episode of Frill Talk. As you can see, I have the lovely Sunny here or here. Hello, Sunny. How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing well. Has the Texas heat been kind to you?
We haven't had much heat lately.
Oh,
It's
that's
been
good.
weirdly cold for,
Oh,
yeah, it's the weather's been jumping between 40s and 50s for way too
oh
long, and
wow.
I'm waiting for the warm.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah,
So tell me about
it's
yourself,
starting to
Sunny.
get warmer, but
Oh, well, hopefully it doesn't get too
Mhm.
hot because summer is what yesterday, no, 2 days ago was the first day of spring. So hopefully we start
Yes.
getting into warmer weather. Where I am, it's still kind of like 40s, 30s, depending on there. So
That's cool.
I mean, yeah, to you,
Yeah, it happens.
right? So tell me about yourself. What styles of J fashion do you wear and how long have you been wearing J fashion?
All right, well, I've been wearing Lolita specifically since about 2013, but I started dabbling in J fashion about 2011. I started getting into Gyaru first because I love like the big bright eye makeup
Me too. I love
and
Yaru.
was a poor kid on a very very ridiculous not money budget trying to figure out how to do Gyaru makeup with dollar store products, and really it did not get better until I got into actual proper J fashion. And that started because I'd always thought dresses were pretty, and one of my close friends who lived down here, she loved Lolita. I was there when this one convention had like actual baby products, and she dropped $200 on a dress straight up. She walked up, saw it was cute, and said, "I'm buying the set." And
Wow.
so we got to actually like see what Lolita looked like in person. And I was just there like, this is so pretty. And I was like, if I could ever do it, I would, but I never have money. And then
Hmm.
Hey Newly dropped that little Prince dress. And I straight up messaged one of my friends and said, how do I get into this fashion? I need to own that. And it's been danger ever since.
Wow. So
And
how
so my
Lily?
main style
Wow.
is,
How
yeah.
Lily
So
said it.
I
Wow.
own way too many Hey Newly dresses now because I love her galaxy print. And I love
Wow.
wearing sweet. I dabble in classy every once in a while. I'll wear something gothic. This was just to match my hair, honestly, but usually I'm in like bright colors and way too many hair accessories. I love Decora. And it's just basically my fun time when I'm not at work.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Was there ever a time that you wish you would have gotten to Lolita sooner?
A kind of little, just because a lot of stuff fits better when you're smaller.
Mm,
And when I was younger, I was definitely small enough to fit most of it. But I've
mm.
grown up mostly being poor for a lot of my like childhood. So I would have never been able to afford it anyway. And I feel like I would have been more heartbroken if I lost something along the way as opposed to just not having it.
Mhm.
So I'm okay with got into it right after I actually got a big kid job because I got it maybe 3 months after I started working an actual career
Mhm.
job.
Mhm.
But it would have been nice if I had it when I was younger because then I could have dressed up while I was at conventions instead of trying to make things myself. I convinced my mom to make me a Lolita Halloween Town Sora from Kingdom Hearts dress.
Oh, that sounds so
it was
cute. I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan, so I'm for it.
it was great because my mom helped me make the costume before I started learning to sew, and I had the little pumpkin mask that I handmade, and we sewed lace on a tank top, and we made this frilly tiered skirt, and then I wore black sneakers with the little wraps on my shoes. I have a very vintage picture. I'll try to find it for you, but
Yes.
it was ridiculous. But I was like, I'm so cute. And then later I was like, that is embarrassing. Why? The
Well,
most
we don't have to
embarrassing thing
share it if you don't want to. It's okay.
yeah,
The idea
right.
is enough for me.
The idea is there. If you want, I'm actually okay with it. I was like 18 or 19 and I thought it was amazing, even though I didn't make much of it.
I probably would
So
have
I
thought you were
honestly don't
amazing.
mind. It was just there's a big difference between young kid making up stuff and
Hmm.
brand. And so I've learned.
So, do you have any favorite brands aside from Hanuli?
I do. Meta is my like other ultimate favorite.
Mm-hmm.
because they are just so size inclusive and the designs are weird. Honestly, I love a lot of the strange fun cuts that Meta does. Like I bought this one is the weird magic school outfit with the hood. And honestly the fact but it's just they have so many weird fun cuts and strange designs. I've just always liked Meta for just being a little off the cuff. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they were one of the first brands to make size inclusive items and say, we don't care, we'll sell to anybody.
Right.
The fact that they were actually willing to do that and make the dresses still look good is very impressive for a brand. And so once they started doing that, I said, y'all have my money forever.
Do
And
you
their
cur
their plus size stuff fits so well too. My
Mm-hmm.
gosh.
I'm so
Because I
glad.
have some size and a lot of non size for them, and I the quality is great. Everything about it's great. Not having to modify it is great. And then I also really love Baby because Baby also just I don't know what it is. Baby's got that nostalgic feel to it, just
Mm.
because of like Kamikaze Girl style. And my friend's first dress was a baby outfit, and like just seeing that like dainty doll look, I've always just been like, oh, it's so pretty. So I tend to look at their outfits and feel that same way. But half
Mm-hmm.
of my like dream dresses always ended up being angelic pretty, and I don't understand that at all.
Really? So what are some of your dream dress or if
Yeah,
you own one?
I do. I own technically. Trying to think of how many I ended up keeping.
Mm.
I ended up getting three. I have three in my closet right now. I ended up having the opportunity to buy a fourth one and did not go with it. But what was it? My very first like dream dress was Sugar Pansy.
Mm.
And I thought it was the cutest little thing. It was purple, had all these delicate flowers. And then one of my friends who had it had like the baby doll cut, and I tried it on, and it looked like an ugly, oversized t-shirt.
Oh no.
And I saw it on the wall, I saw it on me, and I was like, that was my first proper awakening into you were too plus size to wear some of these dresses.
No.
So I was like, we have to be better about the cuts we look at. Because
Mm.
back in the day, I just thought you could wear whatever. You find a dress, if it fits your measurements, you just put it on. But then
Mhm.
I'm also tall, and
Oh.
certain cuts are very short. Yeah, I'm
Oh.
5'9", and a lot of dresses
Oh
do
yeah, that's
fall way
tall.
like over my knee. Like this one actually also goes above my knees. So I usually wear it with tights and a smaller petty just so it
Mhm.
looks longer so it doesn't poof out as much.
Mm.
But then I realized the last time I wore this was a theme park in Korea because I found money in my pocket that was not American currency. And I was like, what are these bills doing here?
Oh, that's hilarious. I
But
love that.
yeah, yeah.
So aside
So
from
yeah, so I ended up going, maybe I won't,
yeah,
but I
so
have memorial cake.
oh.
And when I tried it on, it was too short, so I extended the straps, and it's been like one of my favorite dresses since.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
then who was it? I ended up with a baby dress that was one of their older fits. It was the window applique, and I
Ooh.
really wanted it in pink or navy. So I
Mm.
ended up getting the navy cut, and then I found out one of my friends got it in ivory, and one of my other friends got it in pink, and we were gonna like all triple it together at one point.
Oh my
And it
God.
never happened, but at least we
No.
own them.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
And then my friend who had the pink one unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. So now I have to go pick up that dress, and it's going to live in
Mm.
my closet
Mm-hmm.
until one day I wear it, which will probably be never.
Aw. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you have any other hobbies aside from J fashion? I see
I
a
do.
couple
I like
line,
ice
I think
skating.
line characters. I can't
I
tell.
do. I have a lot of issues with K-pop right now, and I have my little plushie collection. I figured it was a good way to organize this corner.
Yes.
These are my ATs babies now, and this is my BTS corner.
Oh, that's so
And
cute.
also, I hope this was a gift from some of my friends before we went
Oh.
to their concert a couple of years back.
Oh.
But really love K-pop. Go to way too many concerts, like way too many. Like actually, I can probably show you here too. It's my wall of mass with my little VIP passes also hanging up.
Wow. And you get the VIP. That's crazy.
We flew to Atlanta to go see him at and then we went to his after party, and I got to throw a bra at him.
Ah,
So unhinged behavior. It was
I'm
great. It
dead.
was
I'm
actually great.
dead. Oh my
It was a
God.
lot of fun. It had
I love
candy
that.
and a condom.
I
swinging it around, and then you saw the goodie bag, takes it back. And then later we see him sucking on the candy from the goodie bag. And I was just there like, oh, I can never come to Atlanta again. And then he saw the Instagram story and was freaking out about it. And I was just like well, quit.
I love that.
I have to hide in the back forever.
Hi, Sunny.
All
So
right.
you've mentioned
So,
off camera to me that you've been into programming at conventions and J Fashion conventions. How's that been?
oh my God, actually, it's been a lot of fun. And I'm really excited to be able to like kind of dabble back into it.
Mhm.
So, working specifically with like J fashion departments and the brands, getting to meet the different designers, getting to like kind of see how they operate, see kind of what they like to do, getting their specifics for like running. A lot of them are like, hey, as long as you have everything we need, as long as stuff stays organized, as long as stuff works, then we're good. And I'm just like, okay, we'll just tell us what you need and we'll get it. And I'm so used to being able to like run back and forth and just like last minute write something up for like programming. Cause I know one of the years we did for Acon for their fashion show, literally we're writing the script because we had made up this open alert just for like it was basically a strut your stuff, but for different shape fashion. Because the fashion show we knew was gonna be just our different Lolita brands. But we figured, some people wanted to come in like Mori K, some people were coming in we actually had a girl do Shiranuri and we were like, well, if people want to kind of show off these different styles, why
Mhm.
not have like a little section where they come in and like kind of show off their own outfit. And
Mhm.
so we had little signups for them. And so when they got picked, we set them in the front. And then at the beginning of the show, we had them basically walk the runway and we had one of our staffers because we realized last minute that we did not have a DJ, but she is into theater. So we wrote up a script for her and we gave her descriptions and she's sitting in the back just improvising these really nice detailed descriptions and explanations on like what everyone's wearing. And so they had her behind the curtain with the microphone reading it. And I was like, and so while that's going on, the rest of us are running in the back, like steaming dresses and organizing things and passing stuff to different designers. And we're giving the stuff to the girls and they have to like hold on to their bag of like accessories and their dress. And they're just like, okay, where do you need me? And we're just like, go stand in line over there, go sit over there, go do this. And so a lot of it gets very rushed, but it's a lot of fun. With running tea parties, it feels a little better because with having catering and with having other staffers around, at least you could just be like, hey, we want this set up here, we want this set up there. Other than that, it's oh, we put a banner up here for like pictures, we put balloons and decorations on these sides. We're not doing anything because we aren't allowed to touch this stuff yet. And
Yeah.
so tea parties feel a little calmer to run, but they're also
Mhm.
calmer events, so it's not as stressed out.
Right.
And the designers like to go there. They like to see people and show off their outfits. And it's nice getting to like let them sit around and have a good time and intermingle when they want. But also when they get tired and they just want to sit and eat, we're like, go sit, relax, take a load off your feet. We'll take care of the rest. And so doing icebreakers, like checking in on everyone, that stuff's a lot of fun too.
Mhm.
Especially because you can just like run those little events and like give them time to like chow down without somebody watching them, be like, what are you doing? Where are you dressed like? And
Mhm.
so that's usually end up how we do it. But then like the afterwards of just like relaxing, everyone just going, "Whoo, we did it! Everyone's happy!" And going, "Were there any complaints? Let's figure it out," kind of deal. Like getting to just kind of like tone down afterwards and having the guests go, "You did a great job," and they're just like, "Yay, thanks." That's always been nice.
Mhm.
And I know we've run different events from I've done like big conventions where we're actually like working with catering, working with staff, and we're basically just kind of doing certain parts and we have a bunch of volunteers to
Mhm.
working one of the smaller cons we did in Texas. We actually used the maid cafe as our assistants because they gave us the same room, didn't know quite what to do for the tea party, but the maid cafe staff was like, oh, we've done Lolita tea parties, we'll help out.
Oh
So
wow.
they helped clear out everything. We're wiping out tables, cleaning up everything. And then they're brewing tea in the back. And we're like delivering, setting up the tables and organizing stuff. And they're like literally just brewing kettles of water and bringing
Mhm.
people tea bags and giving them like assorted cookies and everything because they were used to setting up all the tables for the maid cafe event. So they're like,
Mhm.
yeah, it'll be the same thing, except
Right,
y'all
right,
get
right.
cuter things.
Right.
So yeah, and then we had one of the girls who half on that actually baked products herself. So she got to use those for like decorations. I
Mhm.
remember she made these really cute usakumiya like cookies. Those were
Oh,
like our main
I
like decorations.
think that
They were
may
so
I
pretty.
remember there was someone last year at the New York Fashion Week when Baby was in New York Fashion
Oh,
Week. That might be the same person. Did they have like purplish hair? I think Olivia,
Yeah, she's a really small
Olive
girl.
Banks. Yeah, that might
Yeah,
be the same
Olive.
person. Yeah, they
Hong Kong.
made
Yeah.
Usakumya little cookies and they gave out to
Mhm.
everyone. I was like, this is so cute. That's so I think they are from
It's
Texas.
really
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Austin.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so cool. Wow.
Yeah,
So
so it's been
what
a lot of fun. Like getting to kind of work different sides has always been
yeah.
neat.
So when it comes to, I guess, J fashion programming, what's like the process
Hmm.
as much as you can give? Because obviously I don't want you to talk about the upcoming convention. So what's
No
like
worries.
the
For the
process
upcoming one,
usually?
so usually when it comes to like kind of setting up the programming,
Mhm.
a lot of it is we have the standard like you have your tea party's going to happen, you have your fashion show's going to happen. You know which designers are coming in, and at that point you ask the designers, do they want to host any panels? Like, do because that's how we ended up with San Japan, the design your own dress one,
Mhm.
where they gave them a bunch of art supplies and a drawing of a dress, and they said, go design
Wow.
thing. And then she got to like pick which dresses she liked the most, and they're decorated with like washi tape and stickers and all sorts of things. And so a lot of times it's if the actual designers want to host something, we'll pretty much squeeze that into the programming. But then
Mhm.
if the attendees or the guests go, hey, I think this panel's fun. Hey, I like this panel. If
Mhm.
they don't know anyone who wants to host it, every once in a while a staffer will take it.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they'll be like, hey, I want to host Lolita Bingo. Lolita Bingo sounds fun. They're like, we'll provide prizes. Done. And so we'll try to squeeze programming in that way. So a lot of it is community based. So if
Mhm.
someone's coming to the con, if they want to host a panel and they bring it up, we'll try to make it work. And I've noticed that happens with a lot of different conventions. As long as you're like willing to, you have some sort of prior knowledge, you think it's fun, anything like that, you just go, hey, I want to do this. Can I do it? And usually the conventions will just kind of see where it fits in the programming. So as for a lot of the conventions, you have to work with the programming department to see, hey, if this person's a model, they'll have restricted times on when they can even host their panels. So you have to squeeze it in during times like that. And
Mhm.
so for the past couple of years, at least with Stan Japan, I've gotten the list of the panels that are like, hey, they can't run it during these times, and then they'll fit it to make it work.
Mhm.
So much as I really to do hands on lately, but back in the day, we used to go, hey, we're doing these panels. Here's our list done. And they were like, all right, we'll put it somewhere. And so we would basically just try to make sure none of the panels overlapped.
Mhm.
And I know Acon was always really good about making sure whenever we said we needed certain times, they would just put it in the programming that way.
Mhm.
And San Japan's been pretty good about it too. It's just been trying to find out all the programming to like organize it. It's taken more than one hand in the pot to like stir it all
Mhm.
correctly.
Mhm.
But a lot of it, it's just community based, what folks like to do, what folks want to do. And sometimes they go, I don't want to host it, I just want to see it. And someone else will go, hey, I'll host it. Like
Mhm.
for one convention that had no Lolita programming, we had one group of girls say, I'm going to host the Lolita 101. And I was like, I want to host Lolita Jeopardy. And so my friend and I said, let's put it in there. And we got picked. So we did Lolita Jeopardy and had all these cute little like goodie bag prizes that we were like, if you win, you get a prize. Please
Mhm.
come. Please come to our panel. And
Yeah.
so that's what got folks to come. And there were some girls who were like, this con doesn't ever have Lolita programming, but we came for the goodie bags. And so that's what gets them sometimes.
So when it comes to
But yeah, a
programming,
lot of them is,
mhm. Oh no, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
So when it comes to programming with specifically obviously with the J fashion track, how do you determine like guests? Obviously, finances is a big portion of it, the budget.
Yeah.
But how do you determine guests and such to bring along?
That is also kind of almost kind of community based. A lot of it is like if they haven't really been to a convention in the US or one particularly like in the South,
Mhm.
then we'll go, okay, well, if they were at Say Japan this year, maybe let's not have them at ACON that same year because you're going to see them that folks can go both. Because if you have, say, you have come to ACON and then baby come to San Japan, people in the South are just going to stay in the South because they go, baby's coming to my local con, I don't need to travel for it. So a
Right.
lot of them, we'll see if they have announced that one convention, we'll go, well, let's try a different guest. And sometimes, since a lot of the communities are kind of known for each other, we'll go, hey, just hint kind of deal. But now that there's just so called, she called the entire South is ours. Texas, Texas and San Japan is what it is now. So it's basically we just pick. But a lot of it, it's like if they haven't seen a guest for a while, or someone's been talking to somebody, or sometimes a fake Star USA, they'll be like, hey, this guest wants to come back. Are y'all interested? And they'll kind of like communicate through there. And then I know every year with San Japan, they do put in guest requests. So
Mhm.
they'll say, hey, are you interested in seeing someone? Are you like, do you want a certain brand or a certain guest to come by? And they'll
Mhm.
just kind of like put it out there and say, hey, tell us who you want. And then they'll see who's getting like the loudest attention.
Mhm.
So sometimes you'll have a guest that hasn't been around in like 4 years, and people are like, please bring them back. They want to come back. I want to see them. I'm willing to spend like $2,000 to come there. And we're like, all right, let's figure it out. And so usually I know with a lot of conventions, we used to do like at least one big like out of country one, and then like a bigger, because if you have less that you have to pay for like to bring in, you can from like the insert like the in guests
Mhm.
here. So it's like you have one or two big names internationally, you bring a bunch of like US guests to come like pat it out. And
Mhm.
so that's what we used to do. We used to try to do one international and then one national, one or two national. But the year that we that Acon worked with Lolita Collective said we can offer you this, and we said let's make it work, because at that point they were talking to a bunch of different designers, talking to a bunch of different guests, and they said, hey, we can bring these people, we'll bring them under us, and we'll like set up programming. We said, okay, sure, you're willing to kind of help out with that, and you're pitching that out there, we will gladly make that work for you. And so we did. Because at
Mhm.
that point, that's how we ended up with such a big fashion show. We had like 5 or 6 designers that we
Wow.
all just brought under one name. And
Mhm.
so nowadays it's like we know those different designers, and we can be like, hey, let's ask this one, and this one's new, let's bring them in. Oh, this one's older, let's bring them in. And we'll just kind of
Mhm.
cherry pick and make a selection. And then if we haven't seen them for a couple of years, we're like, hey, let's bring them back. But then we're like, hey, this guest hasn't been anywhere in 3 years, let's take them. And that's how we'll just kind of get them. But a lot of it's just we just see if they're available, pitch out some
Mhm.
feelers, and then if they want to do it, then guest relations will take care of that. And we're just like, just tell us yes or no.
I love that. So for someone, let's say that is wanting to have J fashion programming, let's say at their local con or whatever, because
Mm-hmm.
there is less J fashion specific only events than, anime conventions. What would be some advice
Yeah.
that you would give a person that would want to have more J fashion programming at their local con?
Honestly, I would say they have to just be willing to take the initiative. Sometimes it takes just wanting to host a panel, wanting to bring in programming, or if anything, if they don't know who they want to bring. When we first for ACON, we literally asked a bunch of people, are willing to help with panel experience, some people with like con staff experience. If you want to help, even if you just want to be a body, are you willing to work if I like try to put together a team?
Mhm.
So that's what we did. We had a group of like 20 of us, and not we didn't end up with nearly as many who actually stayed, but we'd grabbed a couple like serious about it. So once we actually managed to talk to the convention and said, hey, this is our idea, hey, this is what we want to pitch, does it work?
Mhm.
That's when we started bringing our staffers going, like, hey, I know some people who are willing to help, can we like get them on board with that work? But if people aren't like sure where to start, sometimes just talking to the staff, talking to con heads, messaging like the convention website, going, hey, can we look into bringing this kind of programming? Would you be willing to? Would you guys want to make a budget for it? We see it
Mhm.
works at this convention or this convention or this convention. Can we do the same thing? And kind of see what the con's willing to do. Because sometimes they'll only really allow some panels. Because one of the ones we went to, they would not do a tea party. They didn't want to set up for a fashion show. They said
Mhm.
it was basically going to be too much work. And we said, but if we do panels, will you accept them? And they said, probably. So we pulled together with a bunch of people. A bunch of us made different panels, and we ended up getting about 6 or 7 panels approved. So then we made
Wow.
our own little like thing and said, hey, at this convention, we have all these panels. And they were like, oh, that's cool. And at one point, I know we had a meetup, but it was at the food court. And so there were about 30 of us. Because I have
Wow.
this picture down the escalator of like a bunch of us all just like waving high. And I just sat there going, this
Wow.
meetup was huge. And all we did was get together, eat, sit, and then like walk around. And it's like we still couldn't convince that convention to actually do anything with it, but we managed to end up getting ACON kind of because we were using that as experience. Like, hey, look, we did this. Can we do this too?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just a lot of asking.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like, even if the convention doesn't want you to have like a full J Fashion programming set, you can always do panels. You can always like pitch ideas, do meetups, just kind of make yourself aware. And if you do that enough times, the kids start noticing, oh, there's a big group of people who are still doing this. Maybe we do want to look into doing panels, doing tea
Hmm.
parties, doing at least a fashion show, getting a guest. And as
Hmm.
long like if they bring in a guest, even if it's not a big name guest that you're not like super excited about, show up anyway, go there because it at least makes the convention notice, oh, you are interested. We can do this again. And it's just not enough people do that at some smaller conventions because they go, well, that's not who I wanted, so I'm not as
Hmm.
interested. I'm like, no, you still got to go to
Right.
represent, go to support because
Hmm.
that'll kind of be the stepping stone to bringing that kind of events to conventions.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like we gotta show out so that they
Mhm.
know, hey, we exist. We want to have events too.
Yep. It's
Wow.
true. That's honestly how San Japan basically got programming the first time was because they had enough of their the San Antonio Lolitas are so active. They put on events for just J Fashion overall in San Antonio almost every month. And they had asked and begged and bothered and were messaging all the time going, "Hey, let us have a guest. Hey, let us do programming. Hey, let us do this. Hey, let us do that." And then finally, the head of Stage Japan said, "Okay, fine, let's figure it out." Just because he was like, "Y'all keep bothering me and asking me questions." And then he got mad and was like, "I don't want to do this anymore." And then when Okashi Khan came back and Okashi was doing well, he was like, "No, I because at that point they stopped the programming at San Japan, but then they still had the girls putting on panels. They kept showing up. They would do meetups, and so there was always still events happening, even though we didn't have like a J Fashion circuit anymore. And then OkashiCon picks up, and people were like, "Well, OkashiCon's this month, but I can still do San Japan." So they were doing both, and then during this meantime, he has me and a couple other staffers going, bring back J Fashion. It was fun. Tell the head we want to do J Fashion. I'm tired of being in charge. I want to do it. Put me in, coach. Bring it back. And she was just there like, okay, I'll talk to him. I'm like, okay. And then next year, did you talk to him? Are we gonna do it? Can we have it? And she goes, no, not yet. I'm like, can we do it now? What about now? What about now? And so then I would be like, hey, can I go to this panel? Can I go to this meetup? I know I'm working, but like, can I have this period off and go do that? And she was like, you go audit it. And that's your, I was like, all right, I'll go take notes and I'll tell y'all how great it was. And then y'all bring it back. And they're like, okay. I was like, ulterior motives. It's what I'm doing. We need to bring it back. And then finally, when they made that partnership with OkashiCon, I was like, yes, we did. But I'm over here like, we better keep it. Y'all better keep this going because the energy we had last year for San Japan was unreal. Like the OkashiCon lines were like down the long hall. It literally, this
Um,
hall takes like 2 or 3 minutes to walk down it. And that's how many people were waiting to get into panels. And I'm just there like, keep this energy up. And
yeah.
it wasn't even just like at that point they had some inclusive panels that weren't just Lolita specific. They were
Hmm.
so open. They had panels for like different design things, people who just wanted to get into aspects of like making things,
Hmm.
people who just thought, oh, that looks cool. I want to check it out. So you have cosplayers, you have normies, you have boys, all sorts of folks just in this line just going, I just wanted to see. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, that's the energy we need. Keep it
Yeah.
up.
Yes, I
So what
love
they did
that.
last year was great. And we're hoping that energy comes back this year. And I have a feeling it
Right.
will. Folks are just super excited to hear what's going
Hmm.
on.
Hmm. Do you have
But
a
yeah, it's just gotta
event?
focus.
Do you have a favorite event that you've either attended or ran?
Honestly, I really like the fashion shows. I just really like going and working both behind the scenes and watching them. So
Hmm.
honestly, seeing the new dresses come out, kind of seeing the atmosphere, seeing the different
Hmm.
looks, it's always just kind of fun and inspiring. And then
Hmm.
also like the little the hands-on panels where you can like go in and like make your own decorations, like your own
Hmm.
like frames and stuff. I went to a sticker decorating panel and it
Oh.
just I got there super late, but I ended up winning one of the little raffle prizes. So I got a box of like frames to decorate. So then you can put little pictures in them and put your little
Aw.
Polaroids. We do them a lot for K-pop, and so usually it's like my side hobby. But honestly, getting to do that with a bunch of other people and doing it in a different aspect was a lot of fun.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So since you've been in this fashion for a while, how does your identity as a Black plus size queer person shape your experience in Lolita? if
Honestly,
it does?
it's kind of, yeah, it does. It's one of those things where you kind of go in thinking, okay, so I'm not the right height. I'm not here regardless,
Mhm,
whether you want me to or not. So a lot of it is basically you have to just kind of be more comfortable with yourself
mhm,
because a lot of there's more hate online, there's less like open positivity. People will basically always want the skinny over anybody who's got curves, who's taller, who's darker, just
mhm,
straight up. And so I've kind of gotten used to that because that was kind of how I started. I remember one of the first posts that I ended up on CGL like really early in, and a lot of folks were
oh,
basically like, "Why does she even wear that?" Yeah. So I've been on CGL enough times to know don't take it to heart. But I've also been on CGL back when it was forums for cosplay.
mhm,
And so a
mhm,
lot of it was basically don't take it too hard, don't take it too personally. You have to just kind of go in with thicker skin. And so
mhm,
a lot of this, I don't dress for other people. I don't dress for a bunch of likes or views or attention. I dress because it makes me happy.
mhm,
And if the dress doesn't make me happy, then I don't want to wear it. But a lot of times it's like I have changed outfits because I'll wear one outfit and go, I just don't feel comfortable in it. I don't feel like it fits what I'm going for. Sometimes it's just I don't feel like I look good in it right now. So I'll change right on the spot. There are
mhm.
times I've gone through 3, 4 different wardrobe outfits going, no, I don't like how that one makes me look. No, I don't like this one. No, I feel blow this one.
Oh,
No, let's wear this because it's stretchier, it's comfier, or kind of wear a layer over it or something.
mhm,
So I do a lot of like I'll usually like go through my wardrobe a couple of days before when I'm going to an event to try to figure out which outfits I want to wear. And sometimes I will have a backup one just in case. So if I
mhm,
do change my mind or if I do feel uncomfortable or something, but I don't base that on how are other people going to look at it. It's going to be how do I feel in it.
mhm, mhm,
And so, yeah, it's okay to have bad days. Like, honestly, a lot of people have bad days, but it's like you just got to kind of work with it. But I know with my spaces, with my friends, with my like bubble that I go with a lot,
mhm.
it's always been pretty open. My community's always been open towards everybody plus size because I've always felt welcome in my community, especially in DFW. Like, there are so many different Black people. There's a lot of queer people in this world. We found our different like queer communities. And so always in little safe spots.
Mhm.
Being plus size has never been an issue. Being tall works out because then I can pick people up. It just happened a lot. Just carrying people around, just like, where do I put them? And so it's like, never really had that big of an issue with because I've always learned kind of, especially with trying Gyaru first,
Mhm.
the Gyaru communities online will hurt your feelings because they can. And so I used to be part of these Gyaru live journal groups back in like the 2011, 2012 era. And
Mhm.
so, I was in college, still young, early 20s, still trying to like figure out where I fit in the world, trying a makeup style I'm not used to, trying something new. And then one person goes, "You're ugly."
Oh,
I was like, "But I tried really hard." And they're just
damn.
like, "Nah, you ugly."
Oh.
And I'm just like, "What do I need to fix?" I was like, "What happened?" And then someone else would go, "You're not ugly. You're just not white." And I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
yeah, that'll do it. That explains a lot.
oh my
That
God.
explains a
You're
lot."
not ugly. You're
Yeah,
just
so
black. Oh.
it's just not, that was what it was. And so you kind of take that with a grain of salt. So when you hear stuff like that, you go, "Oh, you don't hate me because of my face. You're just racist. I got it. Invalidating your comment now. Thank you."
Yep.
And so a lot of stuff, especially like on CGL and stuff like that, I stopped feeling bad because I'm just like, oh, you're literally just putting me up there because I'm not skinny. Got it. Oh, you're just putting me there because I'm black. I understand. Like, I know it happened in cosplay a couple of times too, and it doesn't happen nearly as much, but sometimes you get some offhanded stuff. Like, I remember back in the day, before Attack on Titan actually announced a black person in the series,
Okay.
like before they actually had a black character, it
Yeah.
was just all the normal ones. And I cosplayed Sasha,
Mhm.
and we had tied ourselves into our harnesses. We felt like we were having a good time. Couldn't go to the bathroom for like 7 hours because
Mhm.
couldn't get
Mhm.
out of the outfit to pee.
Yeah.
So we said, the moment it's off, we're done.
Mhm.
And so I had a bunch of fun photos from a photo shoot. And one person goes, "Why would you even cosplay Sasha? Black people don't exist. They killed off all the black people in Attack on Titan. That's stupid." And I was like, then why do you care? Let me have fun. I want to enjoy myself. I had a good time that day. I had a great day. And it was just people who just, they were just there we're just gonna be hateful. And I'm over here like, you don't even cosplay, shut up. And so sometimes Jay like, you don't even own a dress, shut up. Like buy a dress first, then come back, complain somewhere else.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
but
Wow. So how is that
but it's
in
just
the
I know
how is that in like the K-pop loving
you already know
community?
people are gonna do
Right. How is
in
that in the
K-pop.
K-pop loving?
Oh,
Because I know, at least
mixed
from,
bag.
I was gonna say, like, there's like, I have like friends who are into K-pop, and I know how it can
Yeah.
be, unfortunately, too.
Yeah, there's a big mixed bag when it comes to the K-pop community because a lot of Black people do enjoy K-pop, but
Yeah.
we also are getting tired of all the cultural appropriation. And so a lot of times if they do some weird offhanded hairstyle or say something strange, usually they have a bunch of people going in going, hey, don't do that anymore. And a
Yeah.
lot of times they'll come up with an apology and go, sorry, didn't know blackface was still bad. And we were like, we
Mm.
told y'all when the last group did it, y'all should have known. But you sometimes have certain fans that are just super hateful because they want to be hateful and they want to be racist, and
Hmm.
to them you can't have any Asian
Hmm.
culture appreciating Black people. And I'm like, but rap isn't from Korea. Like, why do you like the rapper if you don't like the history of rap? Explain that to me. And so usually, but the good thing is that's not as common. the
Right.
the last time I've properly seen okay, actually there's kind of two things. There is a hot topic issue right now
Mhm.
because people say that barking in a convention, no, parking at concerts, because a lot of times we bark for support because it's funny and because
Bark
people are horny
like wow,
on Maine.
like that.
Woo, 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 woo. At
Oh, okay,
concerts.
okay,
We were
okay.
barking for Walker and she's just like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
with
like
her
if
little
you're like
cowboy hat.
at a
It's a
basketball game or whatever, like yeah, like just enjoy it.
right.
Yeah.
It's a thing folks have been doing, especially in like Black culture since the
Yeah.
80s.
Right.
And I literally was doing research. I was like, when did this even begin? I know it's been happening for forever. Did not know it began back during the Arsenio Hall show. And I was like, isn't that man ancient? He is. But that's when the barking kind of started for events. And it was because he made that his hometown call.
Mm-hmm.
This girl tried to say that the barking started because the band Tomorrow by Together, which is a fourth generation group, had a song called Cat and Dog, and people barked for the song. Therefore, they started barking at conventions. Well, not at convention, at concerts. And we
Yeah.
were like,
I
they're
mean,
not even 30 yet. We've been barking since before they were a concept. What do you mean? And they're like, no, we started it as MOAs. And I'm like, no, that's a past, that's a before y'all even what? But that's the
wow.
current thing. And so, and then one person online said, you guys should stop barking because of Korea's history with dogs. And I was like, take away that person's internet right now. That is so uncalled for.
They're not even using the internet properly at that point.
No, the straight up said, you know what? Korean people and dogs. And I said, what do you mean Korean people own dogs like pets? Like the rest of us. Are you trying to say something racist? Because you might
Right.
want to stop.
Right.
And so that ended up basically being kind of like what they were insinuating at, and it turned into a huge debate between white people can't explain to Black people why things are racist.
I mean, I feel like that's
So
a
that
common
one of my
thing a
friends
lot of
messaged,
ways. Happens too often.
yeah. So that ends up being, yeah, there's a little misunderstanding and go, well, it's racist because I said so, because here's the explanation. And we're going, you're absolutely incorrect, but don't listen to us, I guess.
So in that case,
And so we get a lot of,
how do you handle or navigate
oh,
microaggressions or like ignorance within, let's say, like Lolita, for example?
hmm. Well, with Lolita, I try to approach it a little kindly. Like if it's to my face,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it'll come with like a, were you misunderstanding something? Do I need to
Right.
like help kind of explain something? A lot of times
Mm-hmm.
I'll just try to explain it. And if they're gonna go off, I'm just gonna like basically shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not gonna sit there and let someone just continue to like disrespect me directly.
Right.
Because at this point, being as old as I am, I'm not going to just allow somebody to say a bunch of negative things to my face. I will either walk away, go find another place to be, And if I can't shut it down, I'll just go, if I can remove that person instead of removing myself, I will. So
Mm-hmm.
like if they're in a situation where that person is being like the biggest negative force, I'm going to try to find some way to get them to leave as opposed to me having to leave. That
Mm-hmm.
way I don't have to have other people who are with me subjected to listening to them. And
Right.
we really don't have a lot of situations with microaggressions, thankfully. The most it'll be just someone at a mall who will say something off pocket, and in which I'll respond and they will walk away really quickly. Because I know that's happened a couple of times. One person goes, "Why are you dressed like Bo Peep?" And I said, "It's J fashion. Have you never heard of fashion from other countries?" And they go, "Oh, it is?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Sometimes it turns into me lecturing someone at a Walmart about fashion.
I love that.
By sometimes, I mean that's happened way too many times. Because if I'm running on errands or if I'm about to go home and I decide to
Right.
swing by the store, I'll go grab something. And I remember once I had gone with a friend because I was literally going to go with my friend, go grab some stuff, and then I was going to go home and change. And
Mm-hmm.
this person stops by and she goes, "Why are you wearing that?" And I said, "What, clothes?" And she goes, "Yeah, but you're like poofy." And I said, "Yeah, because I like these clothes." And she's like, "But why are they poofy?" And I said, "Because I wanted them poofy." And at that point she goes, "Okay, but what is it?" And so then I
A
told her it's
dress?
Japanese fashion. And she goes, "What?" I was about to be
What?
like, "It's a dress, duh." I was like, no. Now she's like genuinely asking. So at that point, I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, you're being sincere in wanting to know. I'll give you a sincere answer." But I'm like, if you're gonna be sarcastic about it, sometimes I'm gonna give you a really snarky response and continue about my day. But thankfully, haven't really had many of those reactions now. More or less, it's more my friend does wear stuff like that, or are you in a play? Like the play one is gonna stick with me, and I'm just there like, "Oh, what play do you think this is?" But it happens every time, so I'm just like, "Oh, it's
One
fashion,"
of
and they go,
my
"Oh, okay."
one of my favorite ones. I'm gonna just call it a compliment because I don't know how else to take it. One time I was walking back to the train station, and it was like an older black guy, like probably like an uncle or something, right? And he
Yeah.
was like, "Look at you looking like Miss Muppet."
Oh, that is a weird compliment, but yeah, he was like, "That's cute. I don't get it, but okay."
And it's like I love
Oh man,
when like
that was
older black men like give me compliments because it'd be like the most wildest phrasing.
off pocket.
It's like, you know what? I can't be mad at that. I love it.
Right? You're like, "I'll take it. I don't get it, but I'll take it."
Like Miss
Yep.
Muppet. What?
It's kind of like when Hispanic people have you take pictures with their
Yeah.
kids.
Mhm.
It's so common. At this point, I've held so many strangers' babies
Yeah.
because they're like, you have the little kids and then they hand you an infant, and I'm just like, okay, this is not
Never
my child.
gotten that one. The whole baby.
Oh man, it happened one of our early meets. We were at a mall, and we actually there was this guy that had come on and up to him. "You want a photo? You just need to ask first." And he goes, "Oh, and then I realized not from here. He was here on a trip and he was just like, I'm just snapping photos. So I was like, "Do you want a photo?" And he goes, "Please." So I gathered everybody who wanted to be in the photo. He took his photo and he left. And then afterwards, this
Oh,
lady comes by and she goes, "Photo?" And I said, "Okay." And so the rest of us pose. And then she walks up to our youngest member,
oh
who
my
was
god.
16 at the time, and
Oh
hands her a baby.
my
And this girl
god.
sitting there with this baby going, "I like to do." And then we're just like, hold the baby still. And she's like, "It's okay."
That
So she
lady
stands in
has
the
too much
photo and then
trust.
she like shuffles up to
She trusts y'all way
too
too
much trust. And
much.
that's not, and the funny thing is, that's not even uncommon here. I've held multiple children. And sometimes the kids walk up to you, they hold their hands up, and you're just like trying to like pose them, but they will refuse and just grab your arms like they're gonna pull themselves
I
up.
swear
At
it
that point, I'm
must
like, if
be
I hold you, I can't
it
control where your
must be
shoes
that
go.
southern charm. Cause like it never once I've held a
It,
child. Like the most I've ever I like touched a child, like with the child and like hug, like
yeah,
picture, never hold.
yeah. Oh yeah, no. Welcome to Texas, where random strangers give to their babies for photos.
They're gonna kiss a baby next time.
Right? I'm holding this child, and the child's just like looking at your face from this close, and I'm just like, "Yes, child, I do have eyes." and a nose and a mouth. The whole works. It is a face. You're welcome. Kids just like kids are
Oh my
so
God.
funny though.
They
Like the reaction
are.
from them is so sweet.
Yeah, and it's
They're
like
just
they're
like,
so
"Oh, you're so
innocent.
pretty."
And then they're so innocent. They don't know how
Yep.
to like come up with words. They all they do is just stare because they just don't know any better. Like little puppies.
Yes. They're just like, "Oh, it's a princess." Okay, and I'm just like, "No, sure, I'll be a princess today just because you're cute."
Yeah. Speaking of younger, so if you were to give a piece of
Yes.
advice to your younger self, when they first started Lolita, what would you provide your younger self starting Lolita?
Get more staple pieces. Oh my gosh.
Damn,
Honestly,
that's
because like
practical.
I did not realize how practical it would be to just have multiple blouse options.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I first started, I had one white blouse from Bodyline, a pair of shoes from Bodyline,
Mm-hmm.
a pair of socks from Walmart that were like knee highs. And
Okay.
then I had borrowed a skirt that I ended up buying from someone and borrowed a necklace. No, I bought a necklace at a con that just matched. And so I wore that with a wig that I had. And that was like my very first court ever. And so then I continually dressed in same blouse, same socks, same shoes. And I was like, it's a cord and a
I
different pair of
mean,
socks.
you
And
had
so
what
I
you
was
had.
right. So as I was getting more into it, I'd realized I have all these pieces and not enough to like mix and match with. So at
Mhm.
that point, I was like, maybe I'll buy two blouses. And then later, it dawned on me as I got older. It's nice to have variety, so you
Right.
can have multiple blouses in the same color, so you don't have to go one pink, one white, one black, and you're
Hmm.
done with blouses. It's good to have options, and
Right.
that was something that did not really dawn on me when I was younger because it was all you have to buy all these dresses, you have to buy all these different dresses. Shoes were important, and so I mean, body. Yeah, it's just there's just there's just been so many things that like younger me didn't think of until I got older. And I said, damn, it would have been nice if I had this flexibility with my wardrobe as I got older. Because
Mm.
I have multiple white blouses now and multiple black blouses and
Wow.
multiple shoes. And it's nice getting to go, so I want this pair of shoes or this pair of shoes. Eh. And so as my like, and the funny thing is, as my J fashion wardrobe grew, so did my like outside of J fashion wardrobe
Hmm.
because I started getting into different fashion styles as well. And I was like, we're gonna wear like this fun casual look. We're gonna wear more of these kind of outfits. And
Hmm.
then now it's like if I don't want to get all dressed up for frilly, I was like, I have fancy sweatpants with like writing on the sides. I can wear with a crop top, and now it's a look. And so it's just like having flexibility in your wardrobe. I didn't think
Hmm.
that far when I was younger because I was just there like, I gotta own the dress and the dress will carry the whole look. And
Hmm.
you get older, you're like, no, it doesn't. I had
Nice.
enough things because I had cosplayed so much. At that point, I was like, this is close enough. This came from the beauty store down the street. I have a lot of really nice beauty store wigs that were like 25 bucks right off the model, like the mannequin. And then I would like mix them up. And I was like, this is fine. But then I was like, we have to wear the same shirt for two outfits. We're gonna wear this Walmart t-shirt over. I have one outfit that I actually loved. I found a navy long sleeve shirt from Walmart that I
Okay.
put over one of my shirts. I pulled the collar out, wore the JSK over it, and then put the wristband at the end of the shirt. So like my arm would be
Ooh.
covered, but also because it looked dressier. And I was
Oh,
like, yes, this is how we modify the outfits that we did not buy extra staples
that's creative.
for.
Speaking of modifying, have you ever altered any pieces?
Yes.
How's
It
your
was
experience
terrifying
been?
the first time,
Oh.
not so much afterwards. Yep.
Did
So
you do it
I
yourself
modified.
or? Mhm.
I I did. One of my friends used to go to a tailor nearby, and
Mhm.
that tailor had moved from her house, and so she didn't really work in the area anymore. My
Mhm.
friend was like, I lost touch. I don't know where she is anymore. And I was like, well, I don't want to wait and go find somebody else. I don't know what the rates are. And then I was like, I can sew. We can probably figure it out. So I was
Oh.
trying to find a couple tutorials and things to see if other people had figured it out. But
Mhm.
more or less, it was a lot of plus size girls who used to modify their stuff, and they'd go, "Hey, I would add panels like this in the back," and
Mhm.
then I would take a dress and look at how it was made and go, "Oh, I could do that."
Ooh.
So one of my baby dresses, which is how I realized the quality of different like dresses and outfits kind of depends on the different makers too. And
Mm.
that's how I realized how difficult it is to modify a meta dress versus not as hard to modify a baby dress with summer ones. Because so the meta dress I had an inner layer,
Mm-hmm.
had a zipper at a certain spot, and then had the shearing panel. And I was just trying to extend the shearing so it would stretch better.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me so long just trying to seam rib where the two panels connected because there were just so many layers to go through. And I was
Oh,
here thinking, oh, it's just one layer. And I'm looking at it going, this whole thing is dang, this is well constructed. So I had to
I hope
deconstruct it
so.
to add extra panels, to add another layer inside. Oh yeah, it was one of the hardest projects and it took me a while. And so then you like deconstruct it, you add the extra panel, and then I had to add it on the other side so it had that symmetrical look.
Mm-hmm.
Because for a while there was also one of the tailors who she would take the rip, like she would take the waist cups and she would basically open them and she'd add one panel on the side of one arm. So it would make the back bigger, but you'd have one armhole that was huge and the other armhole would be the same because you would only add it on one side. And so the back would actually shift a little bit. And I was just there like, I could do better than that.
Oh.
So at that point, I just said, if the arm, that point, I was like, we're just going to extend it from the back. So you have the shearing panel like this, and I would add on both sides of it. So it would be symmetrical when it expanded.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the meta dress that I did, it was Happy Balloon, so it's navy and it's got a bunch of like clouds on the pattern, and the actual shearing panel is just dark with clouds. Went and found something similar at Joann's, doubled it, folded it around the sides, put the shearing all the way through it on both ends, and
Wow.
then attached that to the little section. And so the dress opens more in the back, and then I changed the way it was laced in the front. And so I have to keep adjusting how it's laced in the front because it doesn't always fit right, but also I realized that ribbon's shorter. So
Mm-hmm.
it was meant for like a small panel to like sew through. And
Uh-huh.
so when I expanded it and it kind of stretched out in the front, it doesn't like tie the same way. But I was like, it's fine. It's the baby one I had, it was just the layer of the dress.
Mm-hmm.
So just the one layer, no inner lining, but you could see where the elastic was. So I seam ripped all of the elastic. And then at that point, I realized because the pattern was the same as the waist ties, I just took the waist tie apart, slapped it on the side, just added extra elastic. So it had way more stretch and then added some on the blanking
The
on the
straps.
straps, and so I could make the straps a little longer. Yeah. So I ended up expanding the straps a little bit, and so it just kind of had a roomier fit. And I was like, okay, we're done. And I stitched
Wow.
that back together, and I said, oh, I can modify these.
Wow, that sounds
And then I had to
crazy.
modify it's a lot of detailed work. And the thing is, with cosplay, I'm just throwing stuff through a machine sometimes because I didn't always compete, but now that I've been competing more, I've been so detailed about the stuff I do.
Mhm.
And so I was like, we can be super detailed about all these fancy dresses I'm fixing up. And so gotta be super careful, gotta fix all my edges, gotta clean these up, gotta make sure everything's nice. And then I
Wow.
have to make sure it doesn't pop. So I'm like reinforcing everything.
Wow.
And so I've modified about, I think, 3 or 4 of my dresses now. And I'm just
Oh,
like, we're done. We should stop. But I'm like, just buy the ones that fit. It's less effort.
yeah. Wow. So for someone, let's say that
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to take it to a place to get it altered, what would be some recommendations if someone wanted to do it themselves?
I would just say make sure you at least know how to sew first,
Mm.
because the scariest thing is going to be going in raw, having no idea what you're doing, and going, I'm going to fix this, and
Mhm.
cutting in something that costs hundreds of dollars that you can't fix like right
Right.
away.
Right.
So I would say, I know for a while Joann's used to have sewing classes, rest in peace, but there's
Yeah.
some like seamstresses and stuff who are always willing to like help with someone figuring it out. Sometimes
Mhm.
different com members can sew and they can give you ideas on how to fix or like ways to kind of start sewing
Mhm.
at least. And then once you kind of know how to run things through the machine, how stuff goes, look at the construction really detailed, and then you can just kind of go backwards and start adjusting it. Because that's what I ended up doing. I had, outside of like a few little like picture tutorials I could find and somebody else who had modified theirs kind of explaining what they did, I was like, I'm going in blind. I've never really modified clothing I wear. I just
Wow.
modify my costume. And
Right.
so with this one, I was like, oh, I can do this part. Oh, I can do this. And my mom could sew. So every once in a while, I was like, Mom, does this look normal? Does this look okay? And she goes, that looks really good. And I'm like, all right, we're putting it together. We we got the sign of approval. And I would just slap it together.
Wow.
Yeah, that mom approval will do anything for you.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just
Yes.
a lot of like, don't rush yourself because I know there's so many Lolitas who they just think, oh well, this is my first time doing it. I can do anything. I'm like, you don't want to do something you'll regret. So
Hmm.
take your time, approach it slowly, and if you need help, actually ask for it.
Yeah.
Because there's always someone willing to help. You just
Yeah,
have
and
to
there's
find
like
where.
Facebook groups too, like Lolita and Discord servers
Mm-hmm.
that help with like the sewing and
Yep.
such. Hmm. Wow, that
Yep.
sounds
And I
really
know a lot
cool.
of comms now, especially with Discord, like have their own like sewing ones too. Because I know
Hmm.
ours does. We have so many different like mini Discords in there, but there's one for like crafting and stuff. And so I know someone has mentioned, hey, I'm gonna modify something. What do
Yeah,
you suggest?
and that's a meat idea too. Like I know my local com,
Hmm.
they did like a sewing meet and they did like a headdress.
Oh,
Mhm. Yeah, because
that's cute.
someone
I've always
has
wanted to
like
make one.
yeah, because someone has like all of the volumes of the Gothic Lolita Bibles, and so they pulled one
Oh,
out and it has the
when they used to
patterns.
have the patterns in them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, and like
That's a good
nowadays,
meat idea. Oh
right,
my gosh.
right, exactly, and you could do that virtually too. You could potentially do it virtually.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and
Like, get your
even
own supplies. We're meeting
nowadays,
on.
even nowadays, Misako, she has like the Otome no Kei book, the sewing book. I've seen that like Kinokuniya,
Yeah.
so like anyone can like buy them and like do stuff. So
Yeah. And then you can just follow them.
exactly, yeah.
And those
So
patterns are really clear and easy to follow too.
mhm.
You just have to give yourself time to actually follow them.
Yeah, yeah. So you did mention you work a lot. How do you struggle with
Hmm.
your work-life balance and Lolita?
What work life balance? I have missed so many meet and get-togethers and planning unless I know the date like months in advance. If it's something that I really want to go to, I will trade a shift. I will take PTO. I will like figure it out because a lot of meets happen on weekends. But I work as a 911 dispatcher, so we work
Oh.
rotating weekends, and
Mhm.
so I'll have one weekend off and then I'll work the other weekend and I'll have the other weekend off. And so, depending on certain circumstances or if my coworkers certain times on one too, we'll trade shifts. And so, like, I'll end up with a Sunday off and they'll work my Monday sort of deal. So we'll do stuff like that. And so I ended up with like a really weird schedule this spring just so I didn't have to use as much PTO for all of my trips coming up. But
Mhm.
for a while I like couldn't make it to a lot of meets unless it was on my days off because I was like, I'm so many other things. And then once I started going to as many K-pop concerts as I have been after like COVID started calming down,
Mhm.
I was like, I don't know when y'all are gonna see me. So at this point, a lot of it, basically my friends and I, we do like seasonal hangouts. So like we try to do something around Valentine's Day, we try to do something around Halloween, and we ended up branching it from like Lolita hangouts to just like themed hangouts. So this
Oh.
past year we were a witch's coven and we rented an
Oh.
Airbnb in the middle of the woods. It was kind of great.
Wow.
And
That
I was
sounds
like,
really
I'm doing
cool.
golf Gyaru. And they were like, what is that? And so I had like this fun, crazy, like bright makeup. And then my lips were black and everything was black. And there were silver boots that I bought at Walmart. And I was like, I'm feeling this look. I like this. And then after about 3 hours, I was like, I want to take my makeup off. My face is itchy.
Have you ever
I
had
want
a
to sit and
moment?
drink and be like,
Have you ever had a moment like in the cord, for example, where you felt like it was the outfit, like unstoppable kind of?
ooh, yes, actually. We did. It was probably my Christmas outfit, which I think is one of the funniest things. It was one of my favorite outfits. So I bought a turtleneck that was like red plaid, very Christmassy from freaking Walmart, hilariously enough. And then I just accessorized the hell out of it. I have this white meta dress with bunnies on it, and then I have this flower crown, and so I wore this big flumpy like wig with it. Then I discovered that apparently the Kumia animals, they all like the standard size fits Build a Bear outfits. So I
Oh.
went and bought a little Christmas Build a Bear dress and
Oh.
shoes for my Kumia. And so I brought her with me and I was wearing my Rocky Horse shoes and I had these Christmas themed socks. And then we're taking pictures like literally with me and Kyle like the Christmas tree and with Santa. And it was super themed. And so because of how it worked, it was just like this is the look. I was like, this is a Christmas card outfit. And I don't
Wow.
know why. It was just I was like, this is so cute. We had gone to this little high tea at this little heritage house near our downtown area.
Mhm.
We just went walking around and I was just there like, this place is so Christmassy. I feel so Christmassy. Everything's Christmassy. I love Christmas. And then I got boba. I was taking pictures with my bear at the boba shop's Christmas tree. And they're like, what is she doing? And I was like, it's so cute. Just
Wow.
look at her.
Wow. So what
That
about
was like
the
that was like my ultimate.
So how about days? Because some people, maybe not everyone, they may not have like a good
Mhm.
body image day. What do you do when you're having a bad image day but still want to dress up?
Honestly, I do my makeup a little better. Like every time, if I don't feel like I'm like looking as happy as I would, or if
Mhm.
I feel like I'm not doing it, I'm like, all right, then our makeup's just gonna go a little higher than normal. Because usually at that point, I'm like, oh well, I like how I did my makeup. Oh, I like how I did my eyebrows. Oh, my eyebrows look really good today. Oh, my eyeshadow looks really great. Oh, and so as I'm going, I'm like, we're pretty, we're really cute today. And as I'm built, like as I'm doing that, I'm like listening to something I like, trying to build myself up. So that way, by the time I'm in the outfit, I'm like, well, at least I'm kind of cute and I put in effort. And that's
Mhm.
where I'm like, when we got into the dress, we're already going to go to the meet. And usually, once I'm fully in that outfit, I'm committed. Because at that point, why did I spend an hour doing my makeup? Why did I put the outfit on? Why am I wearing this petticoat if I'm not going out of my house? So at
Right.
that point, I'm like, we're already committed. We're cute. We made it. And that's like my threshold. So at that point, I'm just like, you gotta just kind of talk yourself up as you're like getting ready. Because a lot of people, they just go, well, I put it on. And I'm like, okay, did you wear an accessory you like? Did
Mhm.
you like that? Crowned. Perfect. What about your bracelets? Oh, you found that bracelet. That's cute. And you're just like, okay, I guess my accessories are kind of nice.
Mhm.
Oh, I do kind of like this. And they're like, oh, well, I did smoky eye. And I was like, that looks really nice. So at that point, I'm like, I'm going to give everyone compliments. And then I'm like, compliment my piece. I did a good job. And so I realized it's like, if I compliment myself, then I'll talk myself up. And that way, like, I'll feel better about talking others up, but then I'll also be in a better mood to like go out. So like honestly, you just gotta work yourself up to it. Because a lot
Mhm.
of like a lot of self-talk ends up being kind of negative for people,
Mhm.
especially when they're like newer to it, when they're not super comfortable. And at that point, it's just find something you're good at, find something you like to do, find something about your outfit or your makeup or something you style that you really like, and just kind of go, well, that's cute. I'm gonna run with that. Take that little hope, just keep it with you. So that's what I end up doing. And by the time I finish my makeup, usually I'm in a way better mood than I started that morning. So if I already felt bad, and it's like if I put on the makeup and I look at one of the outfits and I'm like, nah, and I grab the backup outfit and I put it on, at that point I feel just fine. Because at least I know in the backup one, that was my backup for if the first one made me uncomfortable, this one's going to be the comfortable outfit. And I'm like, well, now I'm in the comfortable outfit. My face looks great. Now we leave the house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in that case of comfortability, so since you do help run
Mhm.
events, what would you think is advice or tips for folks that are going to like a J Fashion or an event that has J Fashion programming and making sure that they keep being comfortable in Lolita or whatever J Fashion style? As we know, they tend to be like all day. So,
Yeah. Um, have a good pair of shoes. Have arch support, something that will keep you on your feet. If you're going to be walking a lot or moving a lot, honestly, at this point, I know a lot of staffers, especially for conventions, have had shoes that match their outfit. So they
mhm,
will pick a pretty outfit and then they will pick a really nice pair of sneakers. And
mhm,
those sneakers are usually like some sort of runners or like really nice Fila's.
mhm.
The big clumpy have come really into fashion, especially here
Yes.
with the conventions.
Mm.
Because I've noticed like the US girls do it a lot. Like they'll have
Yeah.
their really nice outfit and then they have these clumpy big sneakers that match like
Yeah.
charm. And I ended up buying like lace shoelaces.
Mhm.
So like those really nice like thick ones. There were a bunch of them on Temu, so I got longer ones so I could
Oh
lace up
wow.
my sneakers with them. So they kind of give like a poofier look. But
Mhm.
I actually laced a pair of boots with them too. And so I just put my comfort insoles and laced the boots, and it just has like this extra like dainty look to it. But then I had backup sneakers that also had those laces on there. So I said, when I'm done taking my pretty pictures, I'm putting on my nice sneakers and I'm gonna run around.
Right,
So
right,
it's
right.
like girls, Lolitas especially, need to remember, stay comfortable, stay hydrated, and please remember to eat at least one meal, at least one meal. Because there are so many times, I remember this happened a lot when I was staffing. Like, we wouldn't always give ourselves like food breaks
Mm.
until it was like a weird time. So it's like, carry a snack, have something with you, have your water bottle. And I know a lot of girls, especially now, are getting really good about like bringing their water bottles everywhere,
Yes.
and they decorate them and they're all cute, or the little cups with water. Like, staying hydrated is so
Are there
important. And I realize
standees?
a lot of people, they feel a lot better. Their attitudes are better.
Yes.
They do a lot better just like moving when they're
Yeah.
hydrated and they don't feel like they're gonna go over.
I'll admit I am
Sometimes
guilty.
folks do.
I am guilty of that because a lot of times when I do go to J Fashion events, I go as press. So, I'm kind of working the whole time that I'm there. So sometimes I forget, I'm up at
You're just
like
like, I
6 or 7, and then, put on my makeup. By the time I get to the
forgot.
event, it's like 9 or 10 or whatever. And then I look at the time and it's like 3, 4 p.m. And I'm like, oh,
I don't have time to eat.
I haven't eaten. I've been drinking water though, but I haven't eaten.
That's when snacks are important. Like if you
Yes.
can't have a sit down meal, have snacks.
Hmm.
Have like a quick power bar, some granola or a candy bar or something.
Yes, yes.
Chips will do. Like I remember for my last ones, I had a friend who literally was like, "When was the last time you ate?" And I looked at him and I was like, "I was supposed to eat." And she just hands me these cookies and goes, "Shove them in your mouth." And there were two Oreos, and I was like, "All right." And so we had like a 5 minute moment of things. Took me away and said, "Eat the sugar." And so here I am, just like eating cookies, and
Yes.
then I'm drinking water. And they're like, "You good?" And they're like, "Okay, now you can go." And I was like, "No, I have to pee. That's deal with the layer." They're like, "Go to the bathroom. It's right there." So I go to the
Right.
bathroom. I was like, "All right, we're good now." And they're like, "Okay,
Right.
bye." So
Yeah,
her was
because
like, "Where did you go?" And I was like, "Oh, needed a snack break." And they're like, "All right, gotcha."
yeah, because people don't a lot of people don't realize like a lot of these events they're
They
ran by the
don't.
community.
Mm-hmm. And
You
so
gotta
folks just, they go and they don't realize, oh, you need to make sure you at least have some sort of sit down time, some
Mhm.
at least a moment where you can either sit in the back or if you can snack, or
Mhm.
honestly, especially drinking some water, because for a while a
Yes.
lot of us were not. We were just getting like crusty and dehydrated.
Oh, oh my. Especially in that heat. I
God, I
can't even
remember like some
imagine.
of my conventions. Yeah, honestly, the heat, like you'll forget. And it was
Yeah.
gotten to the point where if you feel woozy, you're like, oh, I need to drink water. That's what that is.
The
But
threshold.
I remember one convention, I had what was it? It started off as hot chocolate and it ended up being spiked hot chocolate by the
Oh,
end of the day
oh my.
because so Austin has a lot of like trees that I'm allergic to. And
Oh.
for the longest time, anytime we literally would drive, it's only a 3 hour drive from Dallas. So I'm having a good time. We drive down there, and by the time I reach Austin, losing my voice.
Oh
And
no.
I was like, how am I supposed to stop with no voice? What am I supposed to do? And so here I am freaking out, like my voice is cracking, and I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
supposed to host things. What do I do? My staff head's like, it's fine. You aren't sick. You just don't have a voice. And I'm like, no, but how are we gonna fix this? And so in my hotel room, the first year we did this, I was staying like a mile away. It was a mile walk, and
Mhm.
I walked early morning,
Mhm.
had my sneakers on, had my shoes in a little backpack, had a little snack in there, and I just had this hot chocolate that I made on my way down there. By the time the end of that day ran around, someone from the room had brought my thermos back to me because they took it with them, went back to the room, did a change, brought
Mhm.
it back to me with a new hot chocolate, just with like a ton of Baileys in it.
Oh
And
wow.
then they were like, go host the horror stories panel. And I'm like, all right. So then I'm sitting there in the horror stories going, yeah, what y'all got to talk about today? Because
Wow.
at that point, I was like, y'all put so much alcohol in here. And they were like, yeah, that's your last panel of the day. Who cares? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. No one cares. It's the horror stories panel. We're just going to kick it anyway. So we're sitting
Right.
there and I'm telling them, this is totally not full of alcohol. And then this one girl was like, actually, I'm a nurse and that is good for your throat. And I'm like, all right, now it's medically approved.
I'm
She just
dead.
wanted to come hear some horror stories. And she was like, I am a nurse. I can tell you. Yes. I'm like,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you,
But
nurse
please
cosplayer
drink
who
responsibly, everyone. Drink
came to the
responsibly.
panel. Exactly was. I didn't have to drive. I was walking. At that point, they were like riding the van on the way back because they drove in the van, they carpooled, and so they just picked me up and we went back to the hotel. And they were like, "We can do that again tomorrow." And I said, "I'm busy tomorrow. I will drink water."
Right.
And I had a hot chocolate in the morning. I had actual water that day.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't like water for a long time. It was bad. I still don't really care for water, but I drink it. Today I
Because
have
it's
juice though. This is
necessary.
juice.
That's
Oh,
good. I like how it's
yeah.
in a little milk cup.
Little milk cup. Yeah. I got this at this little
Milkman.
store in Houston. It was like $4.
Oh, that's
And
very
it's been one of my
cute.
favorite cups. It's
Wow.
so precious.
Wow.
I don't even know why. It's just the goofiest little cup. And I was like, it's milk. And they go, what's in it? And I'm like, juice, not
That's
milk.
so from what you told me, you've been wearing J fashion for about more than a decade, 11 years, I think you said. Have there been
Mm-hmm.
any trends or eras where you really liked a lot or didn't like?
Um, Honestly, I like that the big hair looks are coming back
Mhm.
because that was one of those things that I loved when I first got into Lolita, like those giant curly
Yeah.
ponytails. Because when I was in Gyaru, that was the big thing, like those huge hair looks, those giant updos and stuff. And then as I got into Lolita, folks were like the long straight wigs, the like different braided outfits that had like the little clips in them. But everyone was doing more subtle, calmer
Mhm.
hairstyles, and I was like, no, give me the curls, give me the big stuff. And
Mhm.
those big looks for a while, people were like, oh no, that's Ida, because people were just buying the one ponytail, like it had a ponytail on each side, it just curved, and
Yeah.
that was the look. And then they would put like a bow like on each side or like one head bow and they would call it a day. And it didn't look bad, but folks were like, that's Ida because it's boring. And so folks were like, no ponytails then. And I was like, no, make them bigger, make them poofier, do the big
Let
ones
it
up
get
here,
closer.
like
The
add to
higher the
it.
hair, the closer to God you are.
Yes, you understand that look.
I
I
love
love
twin tails.
those.
I love
And so
twin
I've
tails.
recently, yes, they're so much fun, especially when they're like big and poofy and like taint, like the ones that are like teased and puffy.
Mhm.
Those are so much fun, especially when they were this whole split wigs.
Yes,
Because I know
exactly.
for a while, like Easy Mix used to have them. It would be like half
Yeah.
mint, half
Mm-hmm.
lavender, and then
Mm-hmm.
bringing them with like the black bittersweet looks. I don't like the term bittersweet. I just call it all sweet. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, it's dark. It doesn't matter. And folks are like,
Right.
it's bittersweet because it's black. And I'm like, shut up. I don't like that. But those were such fun looks to wear with it because you have the contrast of like the black or the dark fits with these bright pastels and these crazy looks. And I was like, this is nice. Bring
Mm-hmm.
that back. And then folks were like, no, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do
Mm-hmm.
subtle hair, some ringlets, maybe a
Right.
couple curls, a little simple bob, and then those like little headdresses. And I'm like, that's cool. Bring back the ponytails. And there was a girl I saw in Closet of Frill who had these giant curly ponytails that went like down to like here or
Oh,
so.
oh my
And they were
God.
just little blonde ones. She had little clips in them. And I was just there like, I love everything about this.
Yes.
This is the best. And I've noticed it's been popping up again recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think it's like a lot of wig designers have been like, these are fun. Do y'all want them? And people were
Right.
like, that wig looks cool and they buy it. Because
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
$15 on Temu. They're like, might as well just try it out. And then it works.
Mm-hmm. So I did
So I know
notice
that's been
you wear
around.
braids.
I want to.
Mm-hmm. Do you normally use your natural hair
I
or braids?
do. On the times when I have them, I do. If I don't have my braids in, I have like 100 wigs. I have a lot of wigs in a lot of different colors. But I wanted to get my hair done for my concert next week, so I just got it done early, and then I was like, I can use it for this. And
Yeah.
so when I have braids in, I'll try to style them. So sometimes they're like in pigtails, sometimes they're up, sometimes I do other little things with them.
Yeah, I like
But
how you
today,
did
when
it.
I was
It
trying to
looks
figure
like
out what to
those
do,
ringlets.
I actually curled them myself. The girl
Oh,
that I went to didn't curl the ends. And so
oh,
I had to do the whole dip dye curling myself. And so I really like how they ended up turning out, but like they will tangle into each other. So I just like twisted them together and I said, now it works.
right,
But
right.
to keep them like out of my face, I actually braided them at the
Oh, I
front so they would
see. That's
hold where they needed to
cute.
be. So they're
Yeah.
braided right here, and then the rest all just curled on its own.
I love seeing more
But yeah, it's been fun.
Afrocentric
Like if I have
hairstyles in
braids,
Lolita.
yes. Oh my God. So there's a girl that I met at one of our meets a couple years ago who just came in her full fro and she had like
Mhm.
little clips and flowers in it. And I was just there like, this is the cutest. Bring
Yeah.
this back.
There's this
And
one girl
so
on
when she did it,
Instagram
I
I've
noticed
seen.
it.
She does like the puffs, but
Yeah.
like shapes them. Like she does like
Oh
star
yeah.
puffs.
The
They're
one who
so
styles them. Yes.
yes. It's like, oh my
They're
God, my
so
hair
cute.
cannot do
She
that,
actually
but they
has like fake clips.
yeah.
She has fake star clips now that you can buy that you can just put the stars on.
Oh my God.
I
I
want
don't
to
have
buy
that
them
I
so
don't have
bad.
that type of hair type. I have like a 3C, 3B hair. So I can't like
Oh
ah
man.
wow.
It's it's a pain. I have 4C and I sometimes I'm like, I don't want to mess with this ever. And the
Mhm.
funny thing is, I will braid my hair back for conventions and then wear a curly, puffy wig that looks almost like real hair, and that'll be like
Wow.
my Lolita look. And so my friends will go, "Oh my God, your hair's so cute!" And I'm like, "Thanks, I bought it." And they're like, "What?" But I have one. It looks because the thing is, it's more like 3C where it's got those swooping curls, and I'll like put it in, kind of pin
Mm-hmm.
it, and then I put like a head bow that tilts on it.
Hmm.
And so there's one I wore it, and it looked so cute with this big bow and this funky meta dress. And I was like, I love everything about this. It's kind of clownish. It's kind of fun. It's just very loud. And then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I clipped it. I yanked it off. And they're just like, what? And I
Hmm.
said, the head must breathe.
The head must breathe.
But it's just with the braids, it's fun not having to worry about like doing my hair a lot. But then trying to style it for Lolita, it's like I gotta play and see what works.
Hmm.
This was a very last minute. Does this work? Oh yeah, it does. Threw some rubber
It
bands in
does.
there.
It's really cute. It's really cute. We did, since we were talking about just natural hairstyles about Lolita, do you feel
Mhm.
like the online and physical Lolita community is becoming more inclusive for plus size and Black Lolitas?
Honestly, yeah. And I think it's just because there's been a lot more like actually involved in the community, a lot more that are there.
Hmm.
So that the fact that folks are just always being seen more, folks are like, oh, I can do that too. And they just don't worry about it as much. And
Hmm.
sometimes you'll see one girl at a meet do it and you want to do something similar. And so then you have two girls at a meet doing it. So I've noticed a lot of folks, it's like if they want to get their hair done in braids, they'll just go, can I make it work?
Right.
But as long as they feel like they're comfortable in a court or they plan it where they look like they like how they look, they just kind of run with it. But I've
Hmm.
noticed that was also something that's been happening a lot with girls who would dye their hair crazy bright colors. So
Hmm.
you'll have a girl in this like full soft pastel look, and then she'll have highlighter pink hair. And then she just goes, well, I paid a lot of money for this. And back in the day, folks used to go, well, just wear a wig. It looks so tacky. And then later, folks are like, that's kind of cute. I like your hair. And so folks are just kind of becoming more like comfortable with people just dressing and looking how they like. And they realize, oh, these
Hmm.
folks aren't doing it just to fit an aesthetic. They're doing it because they like how their aesthetic looks on them.
Hmm.
And so folks are getting they're getting a lot more inclusive and a lot less grouchy about certain things. And
Hmm.
so a lot of stuff that used like back when I first started that used to be kind of like nitpicky and seen like as bad isn't really
Hmm.
the same anymore. And it's kind of been nice knowing that because back in the day, sneakers with your cords were like unheard of. And it's like a lot of us did it anyway because we'd have to go from point A to point P.
Hmm.
Because I know one of the conventions I went to, we actually stayed about a mile walk away.
Hmm.
No, wasn't even that. We were basically up a hill. We were just a
Okay.
hill distance, but we
Hmm.
still had to cross a highway and then like walk a bit of a distance to get there. And they had like walking passes, but it was far. And I was like, I really don't want to wear my like nice shoes for this walk. So I packed sneakers and we walked from the convention like to the hotel or back and forth. We'd have like our umbrellas, we had ponchos, whatever we needed for that, we'd walk around it. And then when we get to the
Hmm.
convention, if we don't have this, we'd walk in our sneakers for a while. And then we'd probably do that for about an hour and then go, oh, here's some chairs. Let's switch our shoes.
Hmm.
And back in the day, it was like people would kind of go, "Why are you wearing that?" And we always walked over. That was our excuse for people to not complain about it. They're like, "Oh, you just walked over here. All right, cool." But outside of that, it was like folks were like, "You're just wearing sneakers all day? That was like so nasty."
Oh,
But then I think with when people started wearing them more, and then you'd start seeing them in like the Tokyo fashion snaps, and the girls in Japan
yeah.
were doing it, and they were like, yeah, they were like, we could do that. And my whole take on it is just match your shoes to your cord. You've already coordinated the rest. Cord your shoes.
I
You're not gonna complain,
remember
and then people go, oh,
that
yeah.
reminds me. I remember one
There's
year.
that girl that had like a red.
I remember one year, I think it was
Yeah.
in one of the Tokyo fashion snaps. It was a Lolita that were all white and the shoes had like red on it. I don't know if you remember that. And
Yes.
people went
Yeah, those Nike
bonkers.
ears. I remember that.
Yes. And people went
I
crazy. A
remember
lot of
that
people were mad about that. A
because
lot of
it
people
was it was
were,
a good look.
yeah, but some people were
Hmm.
like mad
They were
about
like,
it
why would
too.
she wear that? Those are so tacky.
It's
But the
like,
funny thing is,
okay.
the shoes, the rest of the shoes matched that outfit to like it was a perfect match color wise. And folks
Hmm.
were like, "You're gonna complain about white and ivories," and this girl put full ivory, including the shoes. And folks were like, "Maybe." I sat there going, "Wear the shoes, wear
Right.
them. She looks comfortable."
Right. I feel like that was a
I was like, "I'm
cultural,
cool."
that was a big point in Lolita. Like people were just
It
crazy over it.
was.
And then more people started wearing sneakers after that.
Yeah.
Me included.
Mm-hmm. Because that point, I realized same. They were like, we can be comfortable. And I was like, absolutely. There's no reason for us to be uncomfortable. But
Right.
also, you could just buy comfortable shoes. Like tea parties, put in an insert. Those are perfectly comfortable shoes. I ran around the entire state fair of Texas in those.
Wow.
A pair of tea parties. Yeah, they weren't bad because I mean the bodyline ones already had a bit of support. All I did was add some insert. You just run around all day in them. And it's like
Wow.
folks always think, oh, well, we need the kitten heels, we need these, we need the pointy toes. Oh, my foot hurts, but it's fine. I'm like, no, just get shoes that are comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
And I noticed a lot of brands that aren't like Lolita brands are also making shoes that fit Lolita
Mm-hmm.
styles. And folks
Mm-hmm.
are branching into those now too. And I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
you don't have to stick to just your brand name
Right.
babies. You can
Mm-hmm.
get like Melissa's or something.
Mm-hmm. I
I
agree.
know they have a lot of ones that are like,
Mhm. Like there's even a lot of Lolita-able
I'm
items.
trying to
Like
think,
you
like,
can go thrift vintage shopping and like
mm-hmm.
there's stuff that could fit in Lolita too.
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's always been that way. Like the fashion came from a lot of like
Mm.
thrifted pieces and a lot of things
Right.
that folks found in different shops and in their like old cords and stuff. And they went, that's cute. I'm gonna wear it with my outfit. Like
Yeah.
Vivienne Westwood was never like a Lolita brand, but so
Hmm.
many Lolitas went with her pieces because it was nice jewelry. So I'm like, just mix and match. Find something that pieces together that looks nice. And so folks have finally been doing that and they're like, oh, I like how this looks.
Right. I
And a lot of it
agree.
it's been nice watching it grow because at this point you're finding pieces and you go, I would never know where that piece came from. Where did you buy that? And they're like, oh, it's from this little tiny Etsy shop that I found 7 years ago. And she's like wipes together weird things and does a bunch of resin art and I'm like, oh, bet.
Yeah.
And a
Wow.
lot of like weird anime pieces are also getting into stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, we're even seeing
Because I've
brands
noticed
like
like
make anime and like Lolita like collab items. So,
mhm,
like, who was it? I think it was
yes.
it Meta or was it I forget. It was like a gothic brand. They made like a Hatsune Miku dress.
Mhm.
And like I baby
Oh yeah.
one of the dresses baby made was also like a Hatsune Miku collab dress. So it's like anime and like all
Oh
that
yeah.
like, intertwining like so it's just very interesting.
Mm,
Hmm.
which makes sense because it's like there's two of their biggest like culture selling points. Why not have a bit of overlap for the fans that like both?
Yeah, I
And
agree.
they are more than willing to spend money on it. Like I have
Yes.
a pair of Angelic Pretty slash Tales of tights.
Oh,
I can't fit them anymore, but I was like they were cute and I'm never gonna sell them because this collab didn't make sense, but I wanted them.
I mean, speaking of
So now they sit
AP,
in my
like
sock drawer.
they did Final Fantasy collab, like I think a year or
Yes,
two
the
back.
little chocobo dress was so cute.
It was really cute. I
And it
feel
was like
like it was a
Willoughby was
bit
a point
too
of
simple, but it was
it
really
was
cute though. It was really cute.
I know it was very simple. They were like, we're not gonna go extreme, but yeah, I think it's little birds.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
Well,
how they get them, but it's sold out quickly.
yeah, and you
I'm
cannot
like,
find
you
that
got the gamer
second,
logo.
and you
Can you
cannot
come?
find that secondhand
Mm-mm.
market. Mm-mm. And if you do, that's like a
No one
billion
is selling it.
dollars.
Yep. Because the girls who bought it wanted it. They said, I'm putting this in my wardrobe and it's living there now.
Even if it's
And
ugly,
it's
mine.
right. That's my take on everybody who has whip magic. That highlighter pink and green Lolita dress. I have a grudge against that dress. I do not
Toxic
like it.
looking dress.
And I,
Radio
yes,
hazard
highlighter,
waste.
toxic looking. Oh, was over here like,
Radioactive.
who told you to make that? Did you fall into a vat of crayons and just go, oh, we're done? I'm like, no. I have one of my friends who loves it, and anytime anybody posts about that dress, my first response is, ew, not that one. And they were like, what's wrong with it? I'm like, everything. Everything about lime green in Lolita is wrong. And they're always just like, it's just a dress. And I'm like, yes, it's a hated dress, and I'm the one who hates it. If this dress has no haters, it's because I'm dead. If this dress has one hater, it's me. It's still me. I'll be 75 years old. My thing going, I still hate that dress. And you're like, pretty why? And they're gonna go, come on, grandma, back to bed.
Come on, grandma.
I tell you, that little meme of that grandma, that's me and Whip Magic. Like, I hate it so much.
Oh
They
my
do.
god.
I hate it.
And
This
watch
dress that
someone
I could
sell it.
never stand.
Watch someone sell on Lace Market and they'll get a bajillion money.
God. Last time I saw it running, it was like $200, and I was like, "Why would you pay $5 for that?"
Why would you
My
pay?
friend was like, "It's a good dress," and I'm like, "No, it's awful. No." And I
Wow.
was complaining about it a couple of weeks ago too, because it popped up, and I was just there like, "Ew, what magic?" And I scrolled.
Oh my
Literally, was
god.
just scrolling through, and it was like, "Ugh."
I'm so
It's
sorry.
just that one dress too. It's just that one dress, and I discovered it in my early days of Lolita, and I've hated it since my early days of Lolita.
For grudge. That
Because
is a
that dress
grudge.
came out, and like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's my grudge that I'm holding on to forever. It's so bad.
Oh my god. I'm
Should not
so
be that hateful over one dress, and I'm like, I will. But I realized there's some haters against my first Hey Newly Prince, the Little Prince one. There was a point where if anybody wore that online at all, whether you courted it well or not, you were ending up on CGL. And
oh,
there were people who would just go, "I hate this dress," and other people were like, "Why?" And they were like, "Ew."
ew.
And people were like, "What's wrong with the dress?" The answer was just, "Oh, it's the Little Prince." And I was like, "Oh." So we got the grudge the other way. I see. Just some people just don't like it. And I was like, but it's so pretty.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think that's my friend's take on Whip Magic and me going, ugh. So it's like, I get it. I too have a well hated dress, but mine's pretty, okay? My dress looks nice. Yours is a highlighter.
There's a highlight. Wow. Wow.
I said,
That was
it is. It's just two highlighters put together. They scroll through. It's a bam. It's a cupcake. And I'm like, no,
wow.
there's
Well,
no
this
magic.
was this was so much fun, Sunny. Thank you so much of sharing your hatred of
Thank
that
you for
radioactive.
having me.
Do you have anything to tell
My
the
radioactive
audience?
opinions.
Do you have anything to tell the
No,
audience?
just no, no, just be cute and have fun with life. Honestly, we're
Yes,
in very strange times, and I just want everyone to find their own happiness where they can.
I agree.
Honestly, and
Yes.
my happiness is apparently coming in hating on this dress and cup sleeve adventures.
I'm dead. Well, this has been Marina and Sunny. Thank you again, Sunny. Just as a reminder, Sunny signed up to be on Frill Talk. So if you want to be here on a future episode, that link is available on my bio. I can't stop laughing. And if you can
Yes,
have so much
you
fun
should
with me here.
totally sign up. Marina's great. Oh my god.
Until the next one, everyone. Bye
Yes.
bye.
Ah.